There we go. Thank you for the reminder, Kim. All right. We have a lot to cover tonight. I wanted to start off by welcoming Ann Ballantyne, our newest board member. Where is she?
Hi, everyone.
There she is. Welcome, Ann. Good to see you. Ann is replacing Susie Askew. And oh, I love the flowers behind you. That's one of the.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that time of year again.
Mm-hmm. All right. So welcome to TNPS and your first board meeting.
Thank you.
And were you able to help out Susie last Saturday at the?
She actually had the date wrong. That's this coming Saturday.
Okay.
And
okay.
I'll be there for the Botanic Garden and for Wild Ones, so she can give me the materials when that event's over.
For those that aren't aware yet, Ann is going to very temporarily cover the education outreach position down in Memphis area until we can get a replacement, and nominations or suggestions. Excuse me, I'm not sure what's up with my voice here. Nominations and suggestions of replacements for education outreach for Memphis area is definitely needed. And I think would be overcommitted if she tried to handle that too.
Yeah, so. Definitely feel like I would. I've got some coworkers who I'm gonna see if they can. So it's a small time commitment. So I've got a few coworkers who I'm thinking about asking.
Okay.
And then I'll
get back to me. Keep me in the loop.
Okay.
It's promoting TNPS essentially with memberships and books. We do a lot of tabletop events. Mitchell does it for Chattanooga area. Shelley does it for the Knoxville area. And I do it for the Nashville area with the help of April and Sue, who are both with us tonight. So any help on that would be greatly appreciated.
Yeah, and if anyone has any ideas, feel free to share them with me. I don't know everybody in Memphis, obviously.
Bart, if you know of anybody, any possibilities down there?
Yeah, I mean, Ann probably knows everybody that I know, or even more. I typically have just been doing like talks to Master Gardeners groups or other Wild Ones types groups or something, just whenever people invite me. So I've just kind of been my own little free agent, and it's pretty much all of West Tennessee. So,
yes. Okay. Well, first up on their agenda is the minutes from the September 26th meeting. Are there any suggestions, corrections, changes that need to be accomplished on the minutes of the meeting? Did you all receive your copy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. No suggestions for changes, then I will entertain a motion for approval.
I move for approval.
Okay. Any second? Dennis seconds. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, the minutes are approved. Next up is the treasurer's report. Kim, I'm going to let you take that one. I hope everybody received a copy with the packet. Okay.
We have had an incredible year, and the purpose of our organization, of course, is to educate the public about native plants. But through the efforts really of really our education outreach folks, you've just pretty much outdone yourselves. And a couple of things about the look of this. We've transferred over to a new membership system, which is going to be very transformative. But there is a little bit of a learning curve in getting into it, particularly on my end, because there's two systems that I have to learn. And I will, but it's taking me a little bit of time. So if you have any questions about the format of this as compared to what previously you would have seen, don't hesitate to ask me. But so the first page was pretty much the revenue that we've had, and we came in at 22,788 and 10 cents. But some of the things that I think are noteworthy when we look at the book royalties. So this would be the checks that we get you could see from Lone Pine, and a royalty check for the era of 2023, we were down from the previous year. And so that meant, the number of books that were being sold, I guess this would be globally, right? Dennis, Karen. So it's just wherever they're selling books, every book that Lone Pine sells, we get a royalty for it.
Mm-hmm. Now remember, we were out of print for a short time, and so it wasn't until
That's it. So that actually helps me, because I've been kind of puzzling about these data. So that answers that question. When we get to memberships, though, just really pretty much extraordinary in that, we pushed up on about $11,000 in income based on the memberships that were people that had joined, and a stunning number of life members to the tune of $4,000. And so what that means is, compared to last year, we're up $1,700 in terms of membership revenue, i.e. memberships. It seems like we've had a real rise in life memberships as well. And in looking at donations were up a little bit, but we really had the good fortune of members putting in the memorials to offer donations to the Tennessee Native Plant Society. And there were several families that did that, and one family, Russ Ragoon, sending in $250, $300 memorials. It must have been an extraordinary person. In looking at the sales of the books, and this is just globally, the sales is our revenue increased $1,500, and as Karen had mentioned, compared to this time last year, our revenue increased by $4,000. And again, our intention is not to make money, but having money means we get to do more good things. The expenses with the meeting, again, it was a little bit bigger meeting. Looking forward to hearing about what's coming up with Roan Mountain. The total book purchases, though, if you flip over the second page, we're just under $700 in profit that we made off of the books. And I'm uncertain, Dennis, you probably would know that. How much do we actually make, quote unquote, off of each book that we sell?
You're muted, Dennis. Dennis, you're muted.
There I go. I couldn't figure out how to unmute for a minute there. We make about $7, I believe. Let's see, the book is like $28, and we have to pay half of that. I mean, we get them at 50% discount, so that's
okay.
$15. There's about a $3 shipping, which makes our about 17. And so we sell them for 25, so it's either $7 or $8 per book.
Mm-hmm. And then I have a question about the tax on that, but I'm not going to go into that right now. Just keeping on our newsletter expenses. Let me just double check that quickly. are a little bit less expensive this year. It was $16.50 last year. It's roughly $13.50 this year. So we're saving money with the newsletter. And website, we opted to go. The webmaster is really, I think the efforts of Karen having found somebody really wonderful. Plus, she understands everything that he needs to do, and he's been very timely in everything that we've asked, and particularly with this upgrade. Karen, haven't you been really happy with the webmaster?
Yeah, he's been very responsive. Anytime I ask for something,
our website, I think, is really first class. It's really wonderful. Our Zoom expenses increased because, of course, we ran into the conundrum where we nearly crashed and burned, where we had more attendees than we had actually space for. So the Zoom expenses have increased because we increased the number of attendees. Our education outreach as compared to last year, I'm sorry, I thought I had all this written down, but I don't, are the same. So our expenses we're running pretty much the same as we did last year. Government fees, because anytime we have a change on the board, we have to report that to the state. So this year they'll go up, a little bit. It's, based
always
on
20 or 40.
20 and 40. Yeah. So it'll be 40 next year. But what a great, that's just wonderful money. We're so happy to have these new board members. And I guess really one of the newer expenses to our organization would be partnering up with Neon One, and just coming in on Neon One, those were $14.50. So I'm down at the very bottom of the page. I think the thing that's really kind of exciting to see is our revenue is actually it's a little bit less because, again, our expenses increased by signing on with Neon One. But you could see the tremendous amount of money that we have just within our other accounts. So our checking, we're at 8.5. The money market book account is 30,005, nearly 500. And then our other money market is 18. And then in PayPal, we're holding money in PayPal. So we're not using PayPal for our members to pay through that portal anymore. But we have 2 accounts that we pay through PayPal. So until we can figure out how to transfer that over to the new payment system, we're keeping money in there. And Karen and I are meeting tomorrow at the bank. So I can't go by myself to take care of the money markets. Plus, I was waiting for the rate at Regions had not been comparable. I bank at Ascend, and they were at 5% in September, but Regions had stayed at 3 something, but now they're up to 5% for 8 months. And so we're going to roll both of our money market accounts into CDs, so we'll be making a little bit more money on that. And so Karen and I will be meeting. I ran the numbers. You can go to online calculator and figure out the difference. So they offer an 8-month CD for 5% or a 14-month CD for 4.5%. So there, of course, there's a little bit of a difference in that. And we'll talk with the banker and decide which one would be best for us. So at the end of the 8-month period, it's not a rollover. It'll roll over if interest rates drop down to 2%, then they'll roll us over to that. So unfortunately, we don't have the advantage of just keep rolling the money over. I don't have any other thing that I can think of to say. Does anybody have any questions?
I think this is fabulous to have we've got $61,000 sitting in our accounts. That's pretty amazing for a nonprofit. Actually, we need to be careful about that, because if we keep going higher and higher, eventually we're going to get taxed on it. So
yeah, we can't have more than $50,000 that we earn. So I think we're still probably okay.
Still okay, but the way we're headed makes me wonder.
Yeah. I also have already filed our IRS taxes have been filed. I took care of that last week, and then there are some other upcoming ones that that I'll make sure those are done
Thank you.
in a timely manner.
Kim, that was the one thing I noticed was that on this report, this year, we're paying the bank instead of the bank paying us. And I guess what you're going to be taking care of in the next few days is we'll remedy that with those CDs that you're planning to take out.
This is so true. Yeah, and I know we had talked about that. I think we had in our last meeting.
Yes, I
But
think
it just seems like, I was actually waiting. I don't want to move the money into another bank. I think it needs to just stay where it is. But I knew for a fact I was getting 5% on my CD. So thankfully, yeah. And what you see listed as bank fees are actually the PayPal fees that we've been paying.
Yes. Okay. All right, next up.
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you, Kim, for an excellent job doing all this and being so devoted, and thank you for all this hard work.
It is no easy task for her to transfer. She's gone from the desktop version of QuickBooks to the online version of QuickBooks, and now she's marrying it to the Neon program. So, but once it's done, it'll be pretty much seamless operation and should be easier for someone who follows her, hopefully. But Kim has had a huge burden on this.
Yes,
It's a big learning curve.
and it's appreciated
It is.
very much.
It's going to really streamline us. And I think here's what's really important is how transparent things will be. I mean, having that on my desktop, other than when I, would download whatever the books were, other than Karen, who has access to the bank accounts, really nobody knew. And if anything happened to me, it would be on, the information would be on my laptop. So I think this is just going to be great for us as an organization. But I'm going to have to go to school to learn how to do this. I mean, I can just do the very bare bones stuff, but we have allocations of 3 hours of training that I'm definitely going to take advantage of some of that. So, but I'm glad to do it. That was what I wanted to do. I wanted to learn something new, and I'm going to retire next year, and I just wanted to. So I'm learning bookkeeping.
And we appreciate it. All
Very
right,
much.
next up, if there's no more comments on finances, we'll move on to old business. And first among the old business is reports from education outreach. We had a lot of successes in 2023, and things are looking bright for 2024, even without the Nashville Lawn and Garden Show. So we still have a lot of events that we can work on. So each area of the state, we now have 4 areas of the state that we're working with, and we can really start really looking around for these tabletop events, and there are a lot of them. Earth Day in particular is going to bring us a lot. So this is exciting. Susie and Ann, well, Susie's not with us tonight. I know Ann doesn't have the history of the Memphis area, but Susie had done a few things last year. I don't usually hear very much about it, and I know Bart has been doing a lot of talks down that area, and oftentimes forwards the gratuity to TNPS, and which is appreciated. Thank you, Bart. We have Chattanooga area. Mitchell, is there anything you want to tell us about the Chattanooga area from last year to this year?
Well, it's been a very good year for us. We are currently scheduled to do activities again this year in many of the same sites that we were at last year. I do anticipate getting out of the area a couple of times. I'm doing a presentation over in Knoxville that Shelley will be joining me to the Tennessee Federation of Garden Clubs, and also over in Crossville to a similar group. So looking forward to the year and the various events.
Good. Good. I know you already have several of them dialed in, and
Yes.
sometimes we have to pay for these tabletop events. But generally the sales for memberships and books easily offsets
Yes.
usually our expenses for setting up a program or setting up a table at an event. Occasionally they're kind of pricey, so sometimes we make decisions as to whether we think we can manage the price or not. Sometimes it just puts us in a new location, so we're reaching out to new people that we haven't had access to before, and that's always helpful. Shelley, is there anything you would like to contribute?
Sure. Can you hear me okay?
Hear you just fine.
My microphone wasn't working earlier and I had to go do some things to it to get it to work. Yeah, we had a good year. We did a few we set up table at the Home and Garden Show in Knoxville last year, and it was good. I'm not going to be around for it this year though. And then we did the Cookville, their little spring festival, but I wouldn't recommend doing that again. It was very small, very, very little contact there. And then, but the really good festival was the Lavender Festival. And I've been working on trying to get ready for that. And I couldn't remember how exactly we did that because it's a little complicated to get into.
Yes.
And so I'll probably need your help on that again. I think you helped do that last year.
I was trying to get us logged in and they kept wanting a payment. So, and we're supposed to do it for free.
Yeah.
So I tabled that yesterday. I said, I've got other things I need to get done first before I fight this battle.
Okay.
So.
Well, we'll do whatever we need to do. But that was a really good festival. As a matter of fact, it led to some talk. I think I gave a talk over in Cosby. And then from that, no, that was from the Home and Garden Show. I got that. But the Lavender Festival, they invited me to set up at their sustainability Be Mine Valentine's Day Festival at Clayton in Maryville. So I'm going to do that on Valentine's Day. And then, of course, with Mitchell, he mentioned the Knoxville thing we're doing. And then I was going to try and do the Lavender Festival again. So that's all I've got planned right now.
That still sounds pretty good.
Yeah, it's fun.
It is. It is. It's fun to talk about something that we really enjoy, which is TNPS and our native plants. So that's an easy one.
Yeah.
Well, and I have the Nashville area with the help of April and Sue, and we've got several things lined up already. We do not have the Nashville Lawn and Garden Show, but we do have, we've been approached by the Weed Wrangle group, and we need to come up with some ideas on that. So I'll be talking with both of you ladies on that. There's the Tennessee Tree Day on March 16th, I think it is, by the Tennessee Environmental Council. There's no table set up on that, but that's something I'm probably going to put on our calendar to remind people if you want to get some free native trees, this is a good way of doing it. We had a request from Greenville, which is way out in far east Tennessee, for a speaker, and I thought, wow, that's even too far. I don't even think Shelley would go over that far. So I found Ken Ree, and he's been doing a lot of things with us out in far East Tennessee. So I contacted Ken and said, would you be interested in doing this talk? He said, sure. Yay! So we've got Ken, we have recruited another member, so to speak. So he's going to be talking to the East Side Garden Club out there. This year we're joining the Nashville Earth Day event at Centennial Park in Nashville. We couldn't make it last year because they approached us too late. We were already booked. But this year they came early and we've signed up for it. Should be a good one, and I'm going to need your help, April, definitely on that one.
Oh,
So
when is that? What's the date of that?
the date is April 20th.
Uh-oh. That sounds like Trails and Trillium.
Yes, it is. It's right in the middle of Trails and Trilliums, just like last year.
Just like last year.
So, there's the Cedar Glade Festival. I thought we would probably set up a table there as we usually do. That's an easy one, laid back, and I get to say hi to a lot of friends there. But we do usually recruit a few new members and sell a few books. We also have a Conservation Day in Murfreesboro. That's a good one. That comes up on May 11th. That'll be a lively one. It's always good. So far we've had, 2 years ago we had a windstorm and almost lost the tent. And last year we had a deluge. Almost no one came, but we did get a few new members and sell a few books to the other vendors. So it was, we still made out okay. It's free. We don't have to, there's no expense for us. So, plus I bought a few new plants because they had their plant sale at the same time. And we also have, what else do we have? I think that's all I have lined up for us so far in the Nashville area. We have a few things. lined up. So, and if anybody knows of other events, hears of events across the state, you can shoot them to me, a message to me or to the appropriate education outreach person. If you're not sure who it is, send it to me. I'll get it to them. No big deal. I'm also putting the native plant sales on our calendar on our website this year. I did so at the end of last year, or probably started in the middle of last year. I think this year that went over real well. People are always asking, where can I get native plants? So I'm just going to put the plant sales on our calendar and just let people know about them. So if you know of a native plant sale, you can send me that information too. Okay, next up, any questions about education outreach? Other than we need a new one, we need someone to take over in the Memphis region. Memphis, West Tennessee area. Field trips with Bart and your team, that's up next.
Yes. I think everybody got except probably April. I didn't have April's name on the email list, but it will go on from now on. Everybody got the list of our field trip schedule. I don't have it in front of me right now, so I'm not going to go into detail. Obviously, it was just basically the reserve dates and who was going to be the leader and where it was. I am planning to have the entire fleshed out schedule done by the end of the month and have that to Donna for the newsletter, and then that will go out, and that will also at the same time go out on the website and also Facebook. So we'll have that up and going, and then we should hopefully have a lot of good participation. We've got a good schedule. It's a little bit more heavily May oriented this year than it usually is, which that's good. We typically do several in May, but we've got more in May this year than April, which is unusual. And then, of course, we'll have our conference in June, and we'll have some field trips for that. And I think Mitchell's working on, he's got pretty much an idea of what we're going to do there at Rome Mountain. We've talked about doing something in an off month at UT Herbarium, and I think that's a good idea. We've done a couple of those kind of class-oriented type field trips before in the winter, and I think they've done pretty well. It's one of those times where you got to do it kind of after Christmas and everybody kind of settles down, or you do it before Christmas and Thanksgiving before people get too wrapped up. So it's kind of an odd timing, but typically the end of January would be a good time for some trip like that. People are beginning to get cabin fever by that time. And so we may work on that for next January is what I'm thinking, if we can.
Art, I have a question.
Sure.
The one for the Sky Mount Orchid trip, is that because you're having two, or you don't know what day it is?
That's because Chuck will not make any kind of actual, he does not want to commit to one date right now. And so how I'm going to write that up is we're going to propose 2 dates, and you need to check with him before each date. So if because he doesn't want to take everybody to see the Lacellii if it's not in bloom. The other 2 orchids he thinks are too common, and he won't think people will be that interested to go. So he wants to make sure that the flower is actually in bloom, and he wants to have those 2 weekends reserved. And so we'll shoot for the first one. The people who are interested need to check with him to see if that weekend's a go. If not, then it'll be the next weekend. So I'll have to write
like a rain date.
I don't think there'll be a rain. We don't usually have rain dates.
And
Tornado and storm dates are about the other thing that keeps us from going out in the field. But that's just how he wanted it done. So that's why it's like that.
Sure. That's what I just needed to know for space for the newsletter.
But
otherwise, I put the names in order, and I'm also incorporating the ones for the conference right in that list. So that they're all set. Just everybody check to make sure I don't miss one this year.
Well, like I did last year, I'll send you a Word document that will have all the descriptions and everything.
And I can just cut and paste.
And then you'll just pop it. That's how I do it. Basically, I'm cutting and pasting and then rearranging and making sure everything looks.
That's where I got in trouble, rearranging.
Well, that's usually cut and paste is a great thing, and it's also an awful thing. So, it helps out a lot, but it makes it easy to make a mistake. But that should be to you by the end of the month for sure.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions or comments on the field trips? All right. Thank you, Bart. That's quite a substantial list.
Yeah, it turned out better than I thought it would. I was beginning to panic there for a little bit when I didn't get stuff back from people, but.
Okay. Next up, our conference, Mitchell and his team. Mitchell's got quite a team going here, just as Bart does with the field trips.
Yes, very fortunate to have a great team, and appreciate all their inputs. And going forward, I'm sure I'll be calling you a lot more. We have a lot of plans coming up this year, and I've put a little PowerPoint together. I don't know how this is going to work, but if you want Karen, to put the title slide up.
All right, let me switch over here. Guess I have to share my screen. Where's that? That's. Share with you. I'm gonna share with me. Share my screen. And that means bear with me here.
Of course, I guess the other option would be to give me control and let me share my screen. Either way works.
Yeah, I can, well, the other night I did it with,
Mary.
Mary Priestley, so
Okay.
So to, get the document open,
it's
Karen,
open.
and then go to the go up to the upper bar, and there should be a little drop down that says, well, you don't want to share, you want to show it.
I need to share my screen. Now I need to show the slideshow. Okay, can you see that?
No.
Can you see the slide? No.
Nope.
Right. Oh. I don't know if I not clicked. I've not had this problem before. Usually it goes right in. All right. The presenter view. Why is it not going? Do you have it set up, Mitchell?
I think so.
Okay, let me share the screen with you then. And that way you can go at your own pace.
So if you give me control, do I then share screen to show my desktop?
Yes,
down-
hang
that's
on
down
while
on
I
the
give you,
bottom.
well, let me make you a co-host.
Okay.
Do, 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 do. Okay. You are now co-host. You can share your screen anytime you're ready.
Okay.
There you go.
Everyone seeing that?
I can see it.
Great. Let me go here to, and unfortunately the bar is covering up my slideshow button, but let me fix that real quick and go from the beginning. There we go. There we go. Okay. My wife and I had the opportunity to go to Roan Mountain last October, and it was our first trip, and it truly was an adventure. We learned a lot about the place, had an opportunity to go up to the highlands, and just really enjoyed several days up there. And our hope is that this annual conference will be an adventure for everyone who attends. That's our plan. I do have a great group of people that are working with me on the planning team, and here's a list of those people. I'll go through them quickly. Bettina Alt, who has been instrumental in helping us to enlist a great speaker who I'll talk about a little bit later. She's also been hard at work at getting us lodging. Thank you for that, Bettina. That's all set, including a link that allows our members to go ahead and make their own reservations and a really good rate compared to others. So thank you for that, Bettina. Sue Bible is also working to get our food logistics all squared away and making good progress there. Donna Bollenbach has done a great job in putting out the information in the most recent newsletter to give everyone an introduction to our conference and what to expect, including listings of field trips and the like. I hope you've all had an opportunity to review that. Of course, Karen's been our advisor throughout and is always helpful whenever we call on her for anything. I have been involved in defining the field trips and recruiting field trip leaders, and that's all in place now, as we'll see in a few moments. Larry Pounds and Alan Sweetser have been helpful in reviewing our field trip plans and and helping us to move forward on that.
You forgot Ken Ree.
I did. I'm sorry about that. Ken Ree is a member from the local area, the Johnson City and Roan Mountain, and he has been most helpful in giving us information. And also he has stepped up to lead one of our field trips. So really happy to have him on the team, and I'm sure you'll enjoy meeting him later on. So just a quick overview. The dates are June 7th through June 9th. It's a Friday afternoon through Sunday at noon. The location is the Roan Mountain State Park, and some of our field trips will go to the Roan Highlands. We have facilities are already secured for the conference center there in the park, as well as for Friday afternoon and evening activities. We're currently scheduled for a pavilion picnic shelter that'll hold 100 or so people. So we hope everyone can come out and enjoy some time together there, and renewing friendships and the like with people that we haven't seen in a long time. The lodging is, as I mentioned, already set up. Bettina was able to get that done and made it very easy for us through a link that's available. Now, for those people who would be interested in using the cabins and or camping there in the park, there is some of that still available, but if you're interested, I would suggest that you go ahead and make your reservation, because those do tend to book up for the summer time frame. There are other lodging options in the town of Roan Mountain, in the town of Elizabethton, and also Banner Elk. Those are 15 miles. But Roan Mountain's probably 5 miles from the park, but the other two are probably 15 miles plus from the park. So if you're not able to get into the Hampton Inn, or you want to stay in one of these other places, there are other places available. If you have problems, let me know, and I'll try to give you some information on that. The food situation for Roan Mountain State Park is one that requires you to take note that there are limited options there in the park. There's no restaurant per se. There is a camp store that has a limited number of items, and there are also food vendors over in the town of Roan Mountain, a few miles outside the park. But in general, you're going to have to bring your food into the park if you're going to have food, say, in a cabin or campground and the like. We will have information on food logistics a little bit later, and Sue will talk about plans for bringing some catered meals into our schedule. So again, thanks to Bettina, we've been able to obtain Dr. Matt Estep, a professor over at Appalachian State University, to be our speaker on Friday night. He is teaching numerous courses in genetics at the university. He's also involved in a lot of different activities, steward at Tater Hill Plant Preserve Conservation. He's associated with the Southern Appalachians Botanical Society, and he's also recently been appointed to the Plant Conservation Council by the state of North Carolina. So really an interesting fellow to talk to. He's very interested in threatened and endangered plants, and I'm sure we'll enjoy hearing from him about that. Our Saturday night speaker is from the Johnsonville area. It's Marquette Crockett. She was born and raised in the mountains of that area, and has worked in a number of different areas, but right now she is the director at Southern Appalachians Highlands Conservancy. She's directly involved in helping to conserve the environments up on the highlands, and she'll be talking to us about that. Other jobs that she's had also were in the area of wildlife management and planning for the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, and she continues to be a coordinator across numerous agencies to help to maintain the Ron's grassy balls. I'm sure she'll talk about that in her talk. And she's on Saturday night. Our presenter for a presentation on Saturday morning there in the conference center will be John Mannion. John has many years of experience as curator in various large gardens around the Southeast. And he's also spent some time in the Royal Botanical Gardens in Edinburgh, Scotland. And he's worked here in my local area with Reflection and Writing Nature Center and serving as a curator for them. And he's currently working for a very large company, Overhill Gardens in Vonora, Tennessee, that has one of the largest lists of native plants that you can order of anybody that I know of. So I think we'll enjoy hearing from him. Field trip activities. The field trip number 1 is starting a bit early, but I was able to secure Park Ranger Marty Silver to lead that. He's very experienced. He's currently a park ranger at one of the nearby parks. He knows the area quite well. He was recommended to me by one of our members, Terry Joyce, and also by the president of Friends of Roan Mountain. His name is Mr. Berenger. And I was able to get him to come over and do that one for us. That'll take most of the morning on Saturday morning. Then I mentioned the presentation that John Mannion will be doing there in the conference center starting at 10 o'clock. Field trip number 2 is in the afternoon, starting out at 1 o'clock by Ken Ree. Again, very happy to get to know Ken. He's been very helpful as a part of our committee, and he's also taking the lead role in leading that hike to the famous rhododendron gardens and the Roan High Ball, which I'm told is a very beautiful overlook there on the Roan Highlands. So hope you can take advantage of that one. Then we have plans for if a person does not go on the field trip 2, then another field trip that's leaving at 2 o'clock will be a guided walk at the Miller Farmstead. It's a really neat old home place that has been there for many years, and we are working with the park management to get a ranger assigned to lead that. I don't have a name for you yet, but we will have one. It's certainly worth the time. It's in a beautiful setting, and he may conduct a short hike in association with that out to the Chestnut Ridge Trail, where there's a beautiful overlook as well. Field trip number 4 is on Sunday, and it does include the Cloudland Trail and goes up also to Roan High Knob, and it's going to be starting at Sunday morning, and I believe it's 8 o'clock, but I didn't put the time. I can't see the time on my machine. The person leading that hike was also recommended to me by Mr. Berenger of the Friends of Roan Mountain. Gary is a botanist and ecologist with U.S. Forest Service, and a very interesting fellow. He shared some of his plant list with me, which I'll probably get out to you folks later on. Really helps us to understand what to look for, and I'm sure he will be a wealth of information. So those are the field trips that we planned. So we've taken up the day on Saturday, and we also have the Sunday hike as well. Any questions on any of those?
Sounds delightful. And I like the fact that there are alternatives. So because not everybody can do those high mountain hikes. So that allows a lot of us to have a choice in the matter and still participate.
I will mention that the second field trip in the afternoon includes a stop by the rhododendron gardens, and you can park fairly near to that. and there are sidewalks or paved trails around through that garden. So even if you're not able to do a hike, say all the way to Ron High Ball, it might be possible for you to go to the rhododendron gardens. Now, theoretically, they are going to be at peak bloom the next week, but who knows? I'm sure there'll be plenty of blooms to see. They just may be a little short of their peak at the time we're there.
Or they could be at peak. We don't
Or they
know.
could be at peak. That's right. So we are, of course, open to other suggestions. If anyone has anything you'd like for me to include, there's probably a way to get it on the schedule. Not everybody's going to be able to go on the field trips, and I'm certainly happy to work with you if you think there's something else you'd like to see us add. Okay,
Sounds good.
a few other topics that we want to talk about this evening. First of all, food logistics. I'm sure Sue has a lot of information for us on that. So, Sue, if you would, please, would you unmute and go ahead and give us a rundown on what's happening with food logistics?
Well, I was able to finalize Saturday lunch with Panera today. We will have box lunches, and she has given me a list of about 5 different choices, as well as some vegetarian and vegan choices. So Saturday lunch is solid. We've got that taken care of. Friday dinner at the pavilion, I have spoken with a gentleman that he owns a food truck, and we kind of had some extended conversations about the food truck. And that's maybe something that we might consider. I understand that our group needs some special insurance for something which I didn't quite understand. But anyway, he will not bring his food truck. He will have about 5 or 6 different choices for us, and we can pre-order those, and he'll have those available for us at the pavilion on Friday night. And then on Saturday night, I have another company lined up that will take place in the conference center, and I need to hear back from her. She and I have been emailing back and forth, and she sort of dropped off the radar in the last week or two. So I'm going to call Simply Elegant Catering back and finalize our, we'll be utilizing her. And I think that probably all of the dinners Friday night will probably be about $20 a person. Panera Bread then on Saturday lunch will be about $15 a person. And then Saturday dinner is probably going to be about $22 a person. So that's pretty much everything that I've been able to arrange. Are there any questions? Does anybody have any questions about any of this?
Sounds like you've done a lot of work, Sue.
A lot of phone calls.
I know. I know. I went through it last year with our conference.
Yeah.
I understand completely.
Well, I just catered
sorry.
my son's rehearsal dinner, so it all kind of is coming back to me.
When you have, when you're sure about, I know that, each one, that schedule I sent out, would you just sort of write something next to it, like, lunch? Well, I guess I can put lunch will be provided by Panera, the Saturday lunch. I mean, I don't need the prices because that'll be on the reservation form, but just to fill in a little more detail on the schedule for me and then send it to me. or just write it out. This day, this, that day, that, however you
Okay,
want to present it.
and then I'll have that for you, before the end of the month, for sure.
That's perfect.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Well, thank you, Sue, and I can certainly say from my own experience, it's a lot of work to put that together and to get everything coordinated and to make it arrive on time and that sort of thing. So I know that she's worked hard on that, and I do appreciate it. I want to move on to a few things about the conference budget. Facility costs were involved here, and of course, the pavilion is less expensive. It's an outside building. It is electrified. It has lights and it has power plugs and all that sort of thing. It has picnic tables with built-in benches, and so it'll cover our needs if we don't have bad weather. That's the one thing that could really create a problem for us. We have talked a little bit internally about the possibility of getting the conference center for Friday evening. I'll talk about that a little bit more in a moment, but the facility cost as it now stands is about $600 for the conference center. We're renting the whole available space, and we're renting it for all day, starting at 8 o'clock all the way to 10 o'clock at night. So we've got that building. It's a large space, about 30 by 70 feet. They do provide tables and chairs and that sort of thing, and they will help us with the setup if we tell them in advance what kind of setup we want. And so it'll be a very comfortable space for us. I feel certain they're in the conference center. The one option that we have, and we have not proceeded with pending this meeting, is we could forego the pavilion and possibly rent the conference center for a half day for Friday night, and that would be an additional $300 or $250 rather, actually, because we get a refund on the pavilion. So it's something we can think about. There's one option that takes the weather out of the picture and allows us to have a single place that we essentially can lock up Friday night, leave our stuff there, and be ready on Saturday morning to do setup. So any further discussion on that?
I unequivocally, didn't get that out right. I would say rent the Friday night enclosed facility. I mean, just take the sweat out of it. With, there's so much planning that's gone into this. It just, to risk, side rain and, we wouldn't have really a place to meet. Everyone would have to scatter. I think it would be way better to just think seriously about, renting the enclosed space.
Well, one thing I didn't mention is that would also be good from the standpoint that the place to check in for cabins and camping is right across the road from the conference center. I mean, it's just a short walk to the park office from there. So, people can come there, they can check themselves in, they can walk right over to the conference center and visit and that sort of thing. So that's another benefit that we would have.
Yeah, and checking in for our conference. We need to, somebody sitting out there in sideways rain with papers blowing everywhere. I mean, I just think I think that's what we should do.
Thank you, Kim. Any other discussion on that?
I'm just
completely
the
agree.
gut sweat of it, just your gut, just, oh, what's the weather going to be? I don't think we need that. You guys,
Yeah,
I was going to say, I think that's a great idea, Kim, because I was going to say that we should probably warn people on the promotional materials to bring a variety of clothing, because it can get chilly up there, or, in rain gear. So it would be even nicer to have it inside.
Mhm.
I move to do that. I move to have that at the conference center on Friday night.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any other comments?
I think that's a great idea.
Okay.
Fingers crossed it's available. So
Yes, that's the only,
Yeah,
that's,
the
that's the only
weddings tend to get in
possibility.
the way.
It was available 2 or 3 days ago.
oh,
I
good.
haven't
Oh,
checked
excellent.
today, but I'll get right on it, and we'll get it secured.
Okay.
Oh, and one other thing about food, just from having stayed there in a cabin, there's a not very far away Ingles Market that's pretty nice. That's down 194. So that would be another, if people don't get in time to, to sign up for food or want to do their own thing. It's small, but it is a pretty nice market.
Okay, that's always good to know for people that are late that didn't
Yeah,
sign up.
yeah. Or
And-
people that are not staying in a motel where there's breakfast.
I know you were talking about the pavilion as far as for clothing, but in my things to know before you go, in the last newsletter, I mentioned about clothing and especially if you're
Good.
hiking. I've been there quite a bit, hiked up on the mountain. Really have to have layers because you have
Oh, yeah, it
no
gets
idea
cold.
what you're going to hit. But
Yeah.
I'll mention all that and, I'll mention it again if we do the flyer and in the newsletter for sure.
Okay. All in favor of securing the conference room for Friday night, say aye.
Hi.
Hi.
Any opposed? Okay, that passes. If you can secure it, let's get the conference center for Friday night as well as Saturday.
If it's
It'll be
available,
worth the money.
if it's available, I'll get right on it and get it booked.
And if we need to adjust the registration amount, we can do that.
Okay. Okay, so there is some cost associated with printing the flyer. Karen, you probably know better than I what those costs are. Probably a couple $100, wouldn't you think?
Well, for mailing, it's gonna cost, well, there's more people. We'd have to send it out to everybody that we've got an address for, so it's gonna be a lot higher than what we normally pay for mailing out the newsletter.
So do we truly have to mail to everybody, or can we send those who get electronic communication, electronic copies, and just have them mail it back to us?
Well, we could do that for most people.
Yeah, and that would keep the cost down.
My impression was that most of the information would be included in the newsletter.
Yeah.
And that the flyer was going to be used if we had any outreach events that you wanted to bring it there to give out. I didn't really think we were sending the flyer to the whole membership. I was just thinking, because you got to remember too, we only print the newsletter in black and white. If you're looking at a color flyer, it's going to cost more.
Yes, it will.
So that's why I asked to put that budget in there because I don't think in the past have we done a flyer for the conference. Okay, so
Not in my
I
recent
think
memory.
it's a good idea if we need it for outreach purposes. But do you think that it would boost the attendance by having it besides in the newsletter, repeated in a flyer and mailed out?
I don't think we'll gain that much in the way of attendance. If they're not reading the newsletter, they're not going to read a flyer that we send them.
Okay. And so the other thing I was going to say is with all the field trips we have, and if we include all this, like basically the newsletter, the conference flyer in the newsletter, It's
Mhm.
probably going to be a little, 16 pages. So we're still looking at a little more of an expense. So the question is Mitchell, did you, what was your purpose of the flyer? And do we want to pursue the flyer, or do we just want to make extra copies of the newsletter and just give them?
Which
I
we
was
oftentimes do.
I was thinking about the people that do not receive emails, they only receive printed copies of things, but, I'm open to whatever suggestion on that regard.
Then perhaps I'll include basically it will be like all the flyer. It's going to have 2 dedicated pages for the conference again. And we did last month too. And we just print more newsletters. We can use that for any outreach, or, hey, I'm going to send you this, or even if we do publicity, you can send a copy of the newsletter. And that has all the conference, or I can separate it out and you can email it separately. But the email ones will be color and the printed ones will be black and white.
The other thing too, with our new portal is we can send a prompt, a hey, reminder about the conference, and, include a full color, additional information with that.
Right.
And then maybe even think about sending something in black and white. I don't know when the newsletter is going to come out relative to the deadlines for signing up things for the conference. We could send out to those that only receive information by mail.
I get
That would
all
be less
if the
expensive.
copy. Oh, I'm sorry. If the copy is received, by the end of the month, or even, and that's an early deadline, I understand. But if I get most of the copy, it definitely will get out by the 1st of, March, when it's supposed to.
And that's very timely considering, when our conference is.
Right.
Gives us a lot of time to do additional promotion if we need to. So yeah, I like that. I like that idea. I should also mention that we have the availability on our new Neon CS system of putting electronic registration form on that system, and people can use their login to actually sign up and pay the registration fee and the like. And my intention was to work with Karen to see if we could design a form for that and make that an option that's available to our membership.
Oh, absolutely.
We can do that. I think we have it partially done already. We
Yes,
just have to modify to make sure it suits the pricing we come up with and the food choices.
yes. So we'll have 2 ways essentially or 3 ways for people to register. They can either register online, as we were just talking, they can register by mailing back information from the newsletter that they receive, or for those people who receive just the flyer in the mail that don't receive emails, they can mail that back too. So I think that gives people a lot of choices in the way that they register.
Okay.
Any other questions or discussion on the printing of the flyer?
I mean, one thing to keep in mind too is this isn't our meeting isn't a money making event for us. We did end up $100 to the good from the meeting last year, which is fine. And I know you guys are thinking of this, but we built into the food a little bit more of a nudge because we didn't know if we had, for plates and cups and ice. And, just for the kind of the meet and the greet that we have, there were, chips and fruit and platters of things were also included. So a little bit of a bump in the price for the food allowed us to go ahead and have that without, people having to pay for things out of pocket. So that's something else to think about.
By the way, if we get the conference center for Friday night and Saturday, I should mention there is a commercial-sized ice machine in the caterer's kitchen there at the conference center. So we shouldn't have to buy ice for drinks.
That'd be great. Plus, if they could provide, the plates and the forks and all of that, that's just one, less thing to have to, to really think about.
Yeah.
As far as food concerned, so.
Well, I don't know that the conference center would do that. But,
No, I mean the vendors.
Caterers.
Okay.
Yeah, the vendors.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay, so one other item I'll mention quickly. We've been fortunate in terms of our speakers and most of our field trip leaders. None of those people are requiring a gratuity. So we have very limited expense relative to that. I will have to pay a gratuity to our speaker on Saturday morning, but the others are not charging any gratuity, and that's one savings for us.
That's great. $400. So woo-woo.
Yeah. So last item that we want to discuss has to do with possibility of T-shirt sales. And I'm going to turn it over to Donna, who's done a lot of research on that and has some prior experience, and she can discuss that item.
I have gone through in the past, I have designed and organized a sale through Custom Ink. The nice part about that is once you get the design up there, and I emailed everybody just now, a copy of T-shirts that I had shown to our committee. It's like that would be probably an idea of what we would have, the choices we would have. But the thing is we don't have to put out the money, that they go on and they pay for their own T-shirt, and they just make a decision as to if they want to pay for shipping directly to them or have whatever the T-shirts shipped to me, and I would bring them to the conference and give them out there, which is not a lot at all. But they collect all the money. And the only question is, some of them do have minimum, the T-shirts do have a minimum. And I gave that to the conference committee. I don't have it in front of me right now, but some of them do have a minimum. So, but the lead time to do T-shirts is really not, we could probably put it out there in the end of April and give people 2 weeks, 3 weeks to decide, and still get them in time for the conference, even May. Because they only have, once you close the sales, they usually get them to you within 2 weeks. So we can wait and see how the registration goes. And maybe those people who do register, maybe we could even poll them and ask them, hey, are you going to be interested in a T-shirt? So that way, or we just make it contingent upon if people, if we don't get enough sales, well, then, we can't offer them. But I did send you the designs. So you can look at those if you have any suggestion, but I like having it. I don't know. I always buy a T-shirt for that type of event. And, but we just got to make sure that we're going to get some people who are going to buy.
Can I?
Where did the design come from?
I did the design.
You did? Wow.
Isn't that nice?
Are we going to have to
say,
pay
I think it's gorgeous.
Pay you royalties?
It
I
occurs to
took
me.
the picture and I just, it's a flower that's on Roan Mountain and I mean, it just seemed to fit. I
Yeah,
wish
no,
I
it's
could
lovely.
do it more with more flowers, but that would have been an expensive t-shirt. So,
Hey, Donna,
mhm.
Go ahead.
I've been talking with one of my co-board members on Wild Ones Mid-South, and we've been thinking about merchandise that we want to offer, and baseball caps came up. So I think that's something to think about. Baseball caps don't require as much sizing necessarily as t-shirts.
Custom Ink does those as well, I believe.
Yeah.
I mean, there's always somebody to do it.
And the
Yeah,
t-shirt sales could be a gauge for if we want to offer, baseball hats and t-shirts in the future.
right. No, I mean, I think sometime, it would be nice if in the future, maybe, other merchandise
Yeah.
but right
But
now
baseball
we're
hats
just
are another thing to think about. And I was just thinking about the complexity of people saying they want a women's small or a men's large or
to worry about that
that
because they
sort of
go
thing.
on the site and they order their size, they pay for it, and they can even have it shipped to them. But if they don't want to pay the shipping, they'll all be sent to me. And then when they're the conference, they just come up and say, I want to pick up my t-shirt.
Well, that's amazingly simple. That's a great business model on their part. Okay. Well, I think the t-shirt sales are a great idea because then that way we can see how that sort of merchandise might be in demand in the future.
Oh, good. Yeah, I think that's true.
So do we have a decision then for us to proceed, for Donna to proceed on this with the t-shirts? Or do you need more information, more time to think about it?
How many people are in favor of going ahead with the t-shirts?
I am.
Okay,
Yes.
either raise your hand or say aye or both.
I am.
Okay, I think that's a clear majority. Okay.
Hey, now I don't feel that we should put it out there too early. I think we should get the conference registration going. And because if you give people too much time, if you say that you have from March 1st to April, April 10th, I think that's too much time to give them to go on because they'll keep putting it off. I mean, that's just from my experience, but maybe just mentioning it, and then putting it out. Maybe, well, I don't know, maybe maybe April 1st, around April. Say, hey, we're going to have t-shirts and they'll be available for order. And then we can send everybody something, tell them how to do that. Unless you want me to put it in the newsletter in March, but that means I have to have it all set up for
No,
March.
I think we could do an email. Once we have people registered, we'll have that select audience to email to.
Right. That's what I think too.
Donna, I agree with you on your timing idea. That way it's, yeah, people have to decide if they want one or not.
And then they may not go, but if they're registered already, they're going to say, oh yeah, I want to get one of those t-shirts,
And so if I'm understanding correctly, this is all a company just handling all of that. People are paying for their shipping or their t-shirt and all of that, and it's just all that. And there's nothing that I have to do other than say that is a beautiful t-shirt.
The only thing I can say is if we don't meet the minimum, we may have to order some extras, and then we would have to do that out of pocket to meet the minimum.
Yeah,
So
that's
would it-
another reason why it's necessary to get a sense of how many registrations we're going to have, and maybe even send out an email to people to find out interest in t-shirts, because there is that cost. If we don't meet the minimum amount, then the company would expect us as to make up the difference. So
It's only about, well, I say only, it's quite 50, I think. You have to sell 50 t-shirts. And that's quite, you know, that's why that's why I think we need to maybe just poll the people who register to see if they're interested. Or, you know, and I don't think because it's a t-shirt for an event. I mean, I know people who buy t-shirts from last year's event all the time, but they're not as high sales, you know, so you may end up with a bunch of t-shirts that you're not, if we had to buy extras.
Yeah, so my recommendation would be make it pretty generic. I mean, I checked my email, I hadn't seen the designs. And you know, then maybe people who can't come to the meeting are like, oh, I still want to get a t-shirt. So maybe
Well,
think
it does have Roan Mountain, the Tennessee Native Plant Society 2024 conference, Roan Mountain State Park, and the date. And that's about it. I mean, otherwise it's got a pretty picture of Grace Lily. And so I don't know, you know, but I mean, there's always a possibility. I think that we probably should put the Roan Mountain on there, but in any case, I think maybe I think we have the time to see how many people register and just make our decision, you know, at that point.
Okay.
Maybe call people.
just as a side note, I too have some experience with this from another group, and I can tell you that 75% of the people who registered purchased a t-shirt.
Okay,
I
that'd
was,
be great.
when I looked it up today, I was surprised at what that percentage was. But again, we've got time. Let's figure out how many people we're going to have attend this thing. That'll give us more of a sense of comfort to extend ourselves to put it out there if we have large attendance. And we'll easily get past the minimums in that case. So, well, thank you very much, Donna, for all this hard work, and look forward to continue to work with you on this. And I believe that's everything I have, Karen. Of course, if there are any questions or anything I've covered, feel free to ask them now or get back to me later on through an email.
I do have one suggestion.
Mhm.
We have sponsored a scholarship for Cullowhee for many, many years. Do we want to sponsor a scholarship to our conference? Maybe for even two students, possibly, to attend our conference. We want to bring in more youthful, a younger age group to help with the longevity of our organization. And I think this might be one way of doing it. What would you think of that? I know I have a cabin that I could easily sleep another 2 people in. And I think they're single beds, so it could be, there wouldn't be any problem. Or either there could be one in my cabin and one in somebody else's cabin if we went for 2. But so the only expenses really would be for their food. They would have to pay for their time to get there, but we would cover their lodging. We could do their lodging and the registration. And really, we're not going to be out very much as an organization. but we could bring 2 young people in that might not have been able to attend otherwise. The other question is, how would we choose these people? So, any thoughts on that, anybody?
I think it's a great idea. I mean, the thing is I don't know. I mean, there's got to be people that have people working with them, that are in the field that have people working with them, that we could suggest some people. Who was the young guy who came to the conference in Chattanooga and gave
Oh,
a presentation?
yeah, he was um uh
He was
student standard.
Joey
It
Shaw's
wasn't a
graduate.
yeah, I'm
student?
having a senior moment. Joey Shaw's graduate student.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. Well, see that I was just thinking something like that.
Yeah.
But
It-
that's the only one that came to mind for me.
So are we thinking college students, graduate students, high school students? Do we include them?
I don't know.
Of course,
What do
high
you
school
think?
students we have to babysit, I guess, kind of.
Yeah,
You
no
know,
Well,
I
you
think we
gotta-
get into an age issue there. Let's make it college.
Yeah,
College, I think, is a good idea. You got that professor speaking. Maybe he has some students.
Yeah,
you recommend.
yeah, and what I might do if we decide to do this is I might email him and let him know that that might be a possibility, so he can alert, any of his students that wanted to come. Maybe we should just make a just announce it somewhere where it's real prominent.
We can do it
Um,
on our Facebook page and on our
yeah,
website. We can make it we can give it some prominence and we can share it with a few other organizations. We'd have to come up with some type of an application and a place for them to send it so that we can choose, assuming we have more than 2 people apply. Is that something that everybody would be comfortable with?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely.
Okay. All righty then. Well, I'll see what I can come up with and we'll hold off posting that until registration is opening up until we open up the registration, then we can also, if we can have something together by then, it would be more pertinent at that point.
I think one thing to think about, not being stingy about our speakers, they're not from Tennessee. So we probably would want to recruit, since we are the Tennessee Native Plant Society, we want to recruit within Tennessee. So Joey Shaw would be great. Our conference fees are usually just $25. So I think more than that, we would need to cover all their meals if it's 22 or something per meal. So
Yes.
we need to make it certain, and then plus the drive, if they're from West Tennessee, I mean, that's like an 8-hour drive for them to come
Maybe we
over.
can link them up with somebody coming from that distance too. If that would be
Yes.
a holdup. They've got to be
Yeah,
able
so
to do something, some part of it themselves. But if the expense of a room and food is too much for them, then we can cover that I would say for 2 people and not be out anything appreciable, because that's what, $100 total for the 2 people for their meals
Yeah.
plus, would be out the registration fee they would have paid. And if they can have, they can have use of, I can provide them a room for at least 1 and maybe 2. I'll have to look at my cabin arrangement first. So.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea, and I think it gives us a couple of ambassadors
Yes.
in the setting where they are to help people to get familiar with Tennessee native plants. So I definitely support this notion.
Okay. I mean, we've always done scholarships for other organizations, and it's like, but what about us? Aren't our student members worth that?
Well,
We
it's our
could even
premier
do an
event.
And
email blast to all the students.
Yeah, and it's hundreds and hundreds of dollars that we get nothing back. I mean, we're sending a student to
Mhm.
North Carolina, and they're not even from Tennessee. So I do think it's a good idea. I think though we need to sweeten it a little bit. I just think, but we could start small and then, next year we could build on it. So.
And we have the ability now with Neon, we can target all of our student members. We don't have to just go to professors. We can target our student members. These are people who've already expressed an interest and signed up for information about TNPS. We can send the students only an emailing announcement about the scholarships. So that would be a very targeted audience, but I think it'd be a good one. At the moment, I don't know how many student memberships we have, but I'm going to venture that I'm going to say it's somewhere between 50 and 100.
Yes.
Exactly how many, I don't know.
Yes.
So it would be a worthy group and could help recruit them into the field a little more, or encourage them in their studies at least. So, all right, if everybody's approving, if everybody approves of it, then I'll go ahead. Okay. Are there is anybody against this? Does anybody see any negatives to it?
No.
No. Okay.
No.
All right. Anything else about the conference then that we need to discuss? All right, next up is our native plant seminar speakers. And I sent you a list as it currently stands. We have 2 more tentative ones. We tentatively have a full slate for the year already. Mary Priestley spoke at the first one last week. John Mannion is our second speaker. You'll just learned a little bit about him. He very much wants to be active with TNPS, and he's expressed that interest to several of us. So he's ready to jump in and help. So I think he's a good one to encourage, and he sounds like he's got a lot to say. So he's going to be talking about ferns, native ferns, next month. We have an unusually large cicada emergence this year. So we have Steve Murphy talking about the cicada's return. Steve Murphy is a professor of entomology at Belmont University. April 16th, this is going to be a good one. And we're going to touch a little more on this a little later on. Jenica Peterson is going to talk about symbiotic schoolyards. She has come up with she's a former middle school science teacher. She has come up with a curriculum on native plants for middle school middle school teachers. And it's a kit, so to speak. I mean, she has all the materials together. There's an expense for plants, and that's something that we're going to talk about a little later on tonight. But there's a lot going on there. But she's the author, and she's going to speak in April. We have Deborah Rosenthal, who's done Restoration Gone Wild. She's a retired California lawyer who now owns a fair amount of land up in White House. And she started with a butterfly garden and wound up with a 30-acre restoration. And she's going to talk about that. June, we have a talk about cane brakes. July, it's probably going to be I lost my notes. July, it's going to probably be Appalachian Herbal Remedies with Ella Hatter. August, Connie Deegan's going to talk about snakes in your garden. September, Sarah Wittenberg is going to, she's with Pollinator Partnership. We haven't firmed up the title of her talk yet. It could be on bees or it could be on pollinators or something in between. And October, it's not certain, but probably it's going to be plant fossils of Tennessee with a speaker from Gray's Fossil Museum. And then in November, Adam Bigelow will talk about wildflowers of Southern Appalachia. He leads hikes throughout Appalachia, and he's a paid leader. And he's going to give us, he takes a lot of photos, and he's going to share some of his photos of the wildflowers of Southern Appalachia. So in November, when everything is dying off, he's going to show us some beautiful photos. So things are going very, very well with the seminar program. It's well attended. The programs are well attended. Our average number of people attending these things, it varies from the 20s to 150 some. So there's a wide range depending on the topic and the speaker and who knows what. I'm trying to figure out any rhythms to this so I can try and figure out when to best schedule different things. But they're well attended. Even a poor one still gets good attendance. So I'm pleased with the way those are going, with our seminars are going. Any questions about seminars or suggestions? Okay, then let's move on to the newsletter. Donna, you want to tell everybody what your deadlines are?
Oh boy, I was so concentrated on conference stuff. I didn't really. Well, I just was saying I'm going to be gone in the end of February, and I will have internet, and it will be better than the last time I left. I had a real problem with that because we were in the RV, but I'm just trying to get all the copy because it's such a big issue. I just want everything, if you can get it to me by the end of the month, certainly first week of February, please. And I'll be able to work on it, even when I'm Tampa.
Okay.
But that's my deadlines as soon as you can, but hopefully by the first week of February, the end of the first week. If we have a few things that, have to be straightened out, I'm always flexible there.
Okay.
I don't know if you noticed, but usually when you send me copy, I can insert it and get it. It's not too long before I get proofs out. I just need the copy.
Exactly.
All right. And
Sounds
so
good.
thank you everybody though for everything, that you contribute. Appreciate it.
And no one should be afraid to write an article and submit it to
Oh,
Donna.
thank you. Yeah, 'cause
Please,
I'm reading the
please.
features and I feel like, I like to write and I always learn something when I write about a plant, but hey, you could be learning something too.
Or
Might be
sharing
a little
something
more
that you
in
love.
depth, but I will always accept features about plants, and for our plant profile, it's always on the front of the newsletter.
All right. Next on the agenda is neon feedback. We've had successes, we've had a few issues. So far, we've worked through all the issues and everything seems to be running smoothly at this point. It's a good time for those of you who have not logged in yet to log in and take a look. If I'm not sure now who all I've given permission to go in the backside and take a look, but if you want to look there, I'll be happy to give you access. I think it's mostly just our team right now. Mitchell, Kim, and Mitchell, Kim, and Bart, and I.
Well, I don't know that I've got access through the backside because I was looking to see how I could get to the membership role and stuff, and I didn't see any way for me to maneuver out of my personal one.
Okay, I think I sent you an invite some time ago. I need to resend it then.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think there's a hiccup, right? Mitchell, that we ran into, like with your login and your password. I mean, there's some things about that I don't remember, but you might be in that little vortex with that too. But I may be making this up, but I do think that I saw you listed. So that in the admin page.
Yeah, I just don't see a way to get to the admin page. That's from where I can log into.
Yeah,
That's
No,
why I have to
it's a separate login from
Yeah.
your portal. It's
Yeah,
completely.
I'll have to get the link back.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'll resend it for you,
Okay.
either tonight or tomorrow morning.
No rush. I noticed it the other day that I was looking to try to find a way to get to the membership thing before the meeting, and I was like, I don't see a way to get out of here.
No, if you didn't do it way back in August when I sent it, then it's buried.
Well, I see I think that was part of the problem. I got that maybe first, and that's when I was making the password and everything, the login information, and that's what got me screwed up when the portal opened up, and then I couldn't get into the portal.
Yeah. All right. Two separate events.
Something. Yeah, we'll get it. We'll get it.
We will. You're going to love it when you start looking at the membership. It's lots really easy.
It's just, look at me. I'm just giggling with happiness about this. It's just all there, and if it's wrong, they're wrong. Not my husband telling me and me transcribing and the lights not being good. So just so much better.
Yeah, the lovely thing about it that Kim is referring to is especially when we have table events and people write out their email addresses. Mitchell knows.
Yeah.
Kim knows. I know.
Yeah, I don't know how many times
people's handwriting is.
I would put in
a lot to be desired.
For somebody, and it was actually written fairly clearly, I thought. And then the very first time I send an email out, it bounces back. It's the wrong address, and I can't figure out what is wrong. Yeah. So if like I said, if it's not right, it's their fault, not us.
Exactly. It removes us from the line of fire. So, and people can change their addresses on their own. They can update their address, their email address. If they get married or they get divorced, they can update their name.
Yeah.
It's all available to them. If they decide instead of getting the newsletter by email, they want to get it by mail, they can change that.
Yeah.
So it's wonderful. It's wonderful. And the
it's
lovely thing is
there. It's just, there were 3 places you had to go to get the information and then compile it all together and get it a spreadsheet. And then, double check that it's correct. And how did they pay and when did they pay and where did they pay and what show were they at? And it's just, you guys can tell I was just about ready to flip out. This is so much better. And the numbers of members, I mean, it's just growing. I mean, people just are signing up and paying every day. And I'm just so excited about this.
We are just shy of, we're around the vicinity of 800 members at this point.
I think though, when I first went on or something, it said I hadn't paid, but I had. And I ended up paying again. So now I've got the membership. Oh, it's okay because it's just extended my membership.
Good. I mean, there are going to be a few glitches. I understand that. Just let us know because most of them we can work out without too much issue.
It's no big deal.
The
The
crazy,
big scare for me was back right when we launched in late November. All of a sudden, forms that I had worked on, the draft form for renewing your membership suddenly appeared with a major error in it, allowing people to renew a life membership for free.
Uh-oh.
Now, number one, you don't renew life memberships. And number two, it isn't free. And fortunately, we had only one person take us up on that before we caught it and put a big message in there saying, if you see this on the form, it's wrong. Don't do it. So, but it did that with some of the forms that Kim and Bart, both of you look through. The form letters, it was sending drafts of the form letters that some of them had my name on it instead of yours. I mean, because the very first one, it wound up with mine. It was kind of an automatic thing. It was just all of a sudden, and there was no reason for it. And Neon never gave me a reason for it. And they delayed helping with it until sometime after Christmas. They kept putting me off and putting me off and putting me off. And when they finally did take a look at it, they said, there's no problem. It's working right. I said, it is now, but it hasn't been for the last month. Come on, folks. And is it going to pop up again? That's what scares me. I don't know if that darn thing's going to pop up again. Whatever that glitch was.
Blame it on AI. AI thinks it's more than us. So.
Yeah, well, I wrote quite an email to them when they asked for feedback on how they resolved that ticket. It was like, you didn't. Excuse me. The problem resolved itself. You didn't resolve it. And that bothers me. So I haven't heard back from them since I said that, so I don't know. Oh well. I was real ticked off. Anyway, we have had some glitches. We know there's been some glitches, and some of them were not of our causing in any way, shape, or form. Some were because we didn't really understand the system at the time. But I think everything's working okay at this point. If any of you see anything happening in connection with our portal or any of the forms that you think is a little bit off, please let us know. And we'll take a look at it, because it could be you could be giving me the early warning that there's a problem and we catch it before it snowballs. So please don't hesitate to give me a call or send me an email or whatever. And we'll look at it real quick. Okay. And yes, I think we still have 3 hours left of training. So Kim, you can get training. Bart, I'll get you to get in and take a look. If you need training, some specific training. Mitchell, if you see something where we need specific training to do a registration, if we encounter a problem with registering for the event, the conference, we can get some training specifically on that. And if not, maybe at our next meeting, we can take a look at possibilities for using those hours that are built into our system that they're paid for. How we can use that to further our use of Neon, make it even better. So there may be something we can do in communications or membership analysis or something of that type that would be very helpful to us, that we can get one-on-one training or 1-on-2 or 3 training, but very targeted training on something. Okay, Any questions about Neon or comments or suggestions? Have you all gone in and tried your portal? Need to get you guys to try it. Those that haven't. So, okay. I think you'll find it's nice. Next thing up, a student course. This harkens back to the symbiotic schoolyard. We had have a committee that was working on doing some kind of a native plant course for kids. And we were having trouble getting meeting dates together and getting people together. So we ended up tabling it a little bit, and we were going to take it up lists in September, but by September, I was totally enmeshed in Neon, getting things transferred over to Neon. So I didn't bring it up. But now we have this symbiotic schoolyard program. And I'd like some folks to take a good close look at it. And Alan, I think we need to reconstitute our committee and anybody else who would like to join in. And I think we need to look at how we can incorporate this or support this, because it's a program that's already built. It's been tested by 12 teachers over 5 years. So they've worked out a lot of the bugs. And all we're going to have to do is figure out how to support them. And after taking a good look at it and making sure it's what's going to work for us, can we support the schools in Tennessee, those that request it, becoming involved in the symbiotic schoolyard? Can we support plant purchases? Do we want to support, we agreed to doing grants for plants. Why not target it more towards this symbiotic schoolyard program and help these schools with native plants in an active school project that the kids can see happening, where they're reclaiming an ecosystem, a native plant ecosystem, somewhere at their school. There's a lovely little 15-minute video on the website. If you go to symbioticschoolyard.org, it's right on the home page. It's a short 15-minute program, and it gives a good bit of the basics of the whole program. I'd like to go into the materials and find out what they need for the materials, what the costs are going to be per class. What kind of, I suspect it's going to be the plants that are where we can support them the best with our grants for plants. But I think we can probably target our applications specifically to that group, maybe without excluding some other groups, but targeting that group more directly. So Alan, I think you and we can pull together our group again. That in the past, it was Sue Bible, Kim, Alan, and I were on that. If y'all are still available, we'll set up a Zoom meeting and we'll talk about it. But in the meantime, please take a look at symbioticschoolyard.org, and let's see if we can't come up with a report to the group by our next meeting in May and get a yay or nay approval from the group. Does that sound reasonable, Alan?
Sorry.
That's great.
Alan, you're muted. Does that sound reasonable to you?
Yes, it does.
Good.
Is there a contact? Is there do they have like a board or something, or is there a contact person? Because we would probably need to get with them and ask them how we can help the best.
Yannicka Peterson, the one who's doing the April seminar. She is the author,
Oh,
And
yeah,
she's,
so,
it
so
is
she
her
can,
program.
okay, yeah.
And so she
Janneke
sells
Peterson.
the curriculum for $350. It's a digital download. So she has the complete curriculum written out and sells it.
Mhm.
You know, maybe we can talk about that later. Actually, my husband, his back has just totally gone out on him. I'm going to have to jump out of this in just a short period of time. But I'm excited about this. I think it's wonderful, Karen, that you found this.
It's just, I saw it and my jaw dropped and I went, oh my gosh, this is for native plants. This is for native plants. It's not animals, it's not birds, it's not trees, it's native plants. It can be trees, it can be shrubs, it can be wildflowers, but it's a project that the kids get to do hands-on. When you watch that video, you're going to get excited too, because the kids are thrilled. They're outside, they're figuring stuff out, they're answering questions in the video. It's like a teacher pulled them over here, like, Susan, come over here. I want you to tell them what you're thinking about, what this means to you, or why are you having so much fun? And the kids are talking about it, and then it's like, okay, they get it, they get this, and it's good. So I'm terribly excited about this. I really am. All right. Well, Alan and I and the four of us can work on that, and we'll get back to the group in May. We'll report back and have something solid, I hope, to go on. Any other old business? Well, let's move on to new business. We're going to do this real quick. Who needs books and who needs badges? I know, Alan, you and Jennifer need badges, and I know I need to get one for Anne. Everybody else got their badge in the mail last year, okay? Right? Okay. All right, is there anybody else besides Anne and Alan and Jennifer that needs the badges?
Do you know any inventory numbers on what Susie has, or do I need to get that to you?
On the books?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got it with Susie. I'm okay with Susie.
Okay.
Does April need a badge?
It would be nice.
So April, maybe.
I think April has a badge.
A
Didn't you
TNPS
send her one?
badge? I don't think I got her one yet. I'll check my list, but I don't think I got her one.
Okay. When she and I did the Shelby Bottom,
Uh-huh. Maybe she did. I'll
yeah,
check.
I'm thinking maybe. Okay. By
Alan's
the
and
way,
Jennifer's went astray in the mail, so we don't know what happened to them. So we're replacing theirs. And Anne, of course, didn't have one. Mitchell, you've got a badge, right? I got one for you as, okay. Alrighty. I need book counts. Let's see, Bart, I'll need a book count from you. Will you need any more? Who else? Mitchell, I need you to let me know what your book count is and what you're gonna need. And I'll get some orders off in the next couple weeks here.
Okay.
So if you'll tell me how much you have and what you think you want. And
Will do.
yeah, and I see Dennis has already signed off. Dennis has told me that this is his last year on the board. So he's definitely stepping back some more and more. He's more or less turned over any revisions to Bart, and any future revisions are going to be up to Bart and Margie Hunter to work on.
Maryland.
And as far as his talks and selling of books, he's not ordering any new books. So He's actually stepping away from that. Dennis turns 89 next month, just FYI. So he's starting to slow down. So anyway, all right. In lieu of the next item up is one that I brought up and talked a bit about last year. In lieu of a Tennessee state law that would block cities, towns, HOAs from preventing the planting of native plants or penalizing those who have planted natives on their properties, shall we support and encourage local ordinances? And reason that I'm shifting gears here is I have talked with a number of people and organizations around the state, and I have been told that the chance of getting something passed, a law passed by our legislature on this in the foreseeable future is somewhere between slim and none. And our Tennessee legislature is not functioning very well at this point from the looks of it.
No. I mean, could we put an ordinance where you can't shoot the flowers? I don't know, something with guns.
No,
and
actually-
gold so I'm sorry, I couldn't.
No,
help.
no, no. There need to be an ordinance that would allow the flowers to carry their own guns. So, so that they could, a good flower with a
You have
gun.
to arm them.
Yes. It's not
Okay.
funny, but
Yeah. Anyway, one of our speakers this spring, Deborah Rosenthal. She's the retired lawyer from California. With her restoration, she managed to get an ordinance passed in White House that requires all new plantings for subdivisions and other developments to include 50% natives and no invasives. And she came up with lists on both. And she has had it passed. Now, it was about a month ago that she had it passed. I got word of it when it was right after it passed, and have talked extensively with her. The lawyer that works with White House is the same lawyer for where I live, Thompson Station. And Thompson Station is already a B city. So after I get through getting things organized for this new year, I'm going to be going down to talk with the Parks and Recreation Department and our town manager, and I'm going to see what it would take to get an ordinance passed in Thompson Station. And I don't think it's going to be that difficult because Deborah already has a template for us that should work. And with that in mind, if all goes well with Thompson Station, I'm thinking of then heading into Spring Hill, which is the town next door, and Franklin, which is the town in the next direction. And we have people in both areas that might be willing, that have already expressed interest in helping out. So maybe we can get native plant ordinances passed. And if we can get enough of them passed in our communities and maybe in the counties, maybe by then we'll have a little bit more of a shift in attitude in the legislature, and we can go with some kind of an ordinance for the entire state of Tennessee. There is some ordinances that are already in place, or some rules. I'm not sure what they call it. But TDOT has a program where they plan to plant natives, but from looking at many of the interchanges and stretches along the state highways, I'm thinking, they're not following their own regulations very well yet. But there's a number of possibilities for working on this, other than going to head with the legislature, knowing that we're going to lose. So,
Well, TDOT has been working with Southeastern Grasslands initiatives quite a bit. And let's see, it's exit 1 on I-24 up by Clarksville. That's all native plants there. And then also there's a welcome station, I think it's on I-65 down at the Alabama border, that is all native plants as well. So TDOT has been working with Cooper Breeden in particular. We did some, what do they call it, rubbernecking, where we were looking at native plants along state highways. So there is, you know, a movement going. There are some things being done. But
I'd like to fan the flames a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think maybe if that's what it takes, if we can get a template for ordinances that might be useful to other towns, then members who are encountering issues can go out and do something about it. We'll empower them to do something about it in their, and I want to tackle my HOA as well.
Can I jump in real quick?
Sure, Ann.
So I'm on the TDOT pollinator program speaker list. I'm the West Tennessee speaker. If any of y'all would like to sign up, please contact TDOT's pollinator program, because we need people out there presenting this information. I'm the only person in West Tennessee apparently who is willing to sign up and do this. So
Okay.
And yeah, they need people all over Tennessee, not just West Tennessee.
Sounds good.
Super simple. They send you they send you the program. You have a what do you call it? You know, PowerPoint. PowerPoint that they send you, and you just go through it. And then you can focus on a certain area that you might want to.
So is there, what, do you email them or something?
I can forward you the information. I can, do a group email and forward you the information on how
I'd like to know about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They need speakers. I don't know if it was a lack of reach. But yeah, they didn't have many people sign up statewide to be speakers. And so, yeah.
Okay.
It's a great program. And I've driven across Tennessee. I'm terrified of the interstates. So I take the state highways anytime I have to go somewhere. And they are actually implementing some of what is described in the program. There is less mowing.
Super.
Yeah, the mowing is timed better, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, if we can get that going throughout the state, wouldn't that be a win for us? For the native plants, it would be a win. So, yeah.
Yeah, I've noticed differences, and I have for years. I lived in Knoxville and went back and forth from Memphis to Knoxville for a long time, and took the back roads because I was scared of the interstate. And I've noticed a marked difference in what I have seen in the past 5 years since the program was implemented on the roadsides. So yeah, they are actually implementing some of these programs. It's not perfect, but it's a start.
Good. Thank you for that input, Ann. Really, that's good news.
Yeah, it's encouraging, definitely.
All right. Any other comments, suggestions? Okay. Well, I'm going to keep working at it. All right, next, we need to constitute a committee to revise our bylaws. And the reason for that is we've needed it in the past, but we need it even more now with neon. We just need to clean up the bylaws in relation to what we're capable of now with neon. We need to conform with the new membership options. One, we can have recurring membership. That's a biggie. And then we also need to adjust when we renew. In the past, we had calendar year memberships. That's not necessary with Neon. In fact, it's even easier now to just have them pick up when the last membership expires or when you renew, whichever is the latest, is what will go in for your renewal date, for your next renewal date. So if your membership runs out December 31st and you renew January 15th, then your next renewal date will be January 15th. And if the following year you get your renewal notice on January 10th that you need to renew, and you renew on the 10th, it still will go to another year added on to the from January 15th to January 15th the following year. So it makes it a lot easier, but our bylaws state that it's calendar year. So we need to revise that. Another thing we need to revise is we've added an assistant secretary. Kim has requested an assistant treasurer, and it makes a lot of sense. I think we would have a lot more people willing to take leadership roles if they knew they could ease into them by learning the role. In other words, who wants to step into being treasurer if you don't feel comfortable with using QuickBooks? But with Kim already in the position, if she had an assistant, she could show them what to do, and it's going to be a lot easier, a lot quicker with the setup with Neon now, so that they can learn how to do it. And when Kim's ready to step down as treasurer, they could slide in. And the same is true with Bettina, and Jennifer had agreed. We have not put assistant secretary in the bylaws yet. We need to add that in. We approved it, but it has not taken effect in the bylaws, and we need to make that adjustment. And I think it'll be easier all along for Jennifer to move into that position when Bettina says, I can't handle it anymore. And maybe Jennifer can help with some of the things that are going on now too. We also need to adjust our elections process a little bit. It'd be nice to have adjust the timing on the elections a little bit to take into account that we can now vote by email, and allowing that to be a way to vote. We can send out a survey, or we can send out an email, or do a hybrid between the two, and do an actual election if we need to in any case. So that's always a possibility. So I need some volunteers to be on a bylaw committee to just clean up the language and make it current. And I really don't want to hit on the people who are working so hard on the conference, if that's possible.
I can help on that.
I can help with that as well. If you don't mind, if I bring my sister in, who's really good with that kind of thing.
That'd be good.
Yeah. Don't tell anyone, because she hates it when I say this. She has a law degree. So,
Maybe we could talk with her about a ordinance for down there in Memphis.
I've just recruited her to be treasurer for our local Wild Ones chapter, because we had no one else. I'm like, you're not you're not great with math, but you're smart enough. You can do this. You know, it's not that complicated. But yeah, she's got a law degree. Don't tell her I said that. But she's great with the logic of what you need to think about and be clear about and all that kind of stuff.
It's really going to be a job of cleaning up the language a little bit.
And yeah, she's my editor. So
And making it
she was an
consistent.
she was an English lit major, and then she got a law degree. So, and she's also into plants now. So, you know,
Super. We'll get her
Right.
recruited in here.
yeah.
Would she like to be an education outreach coordinator?
Well, she works on Saturdays right now. So,
Oh, that would make it difficult.
yeah, that's the problem. Yeah. And then if she's not
Okay.
working, yeah, she's working somewhere else. So,
All right, Ann, Bart, and I guess I'll set up a,
Yeah, it shouldn't take a whole lot. Just like I said,
no,
cleaning it up and inserting some new language. The structure should be pretty much the same as far
it
as
is. It's
Yeah.
just cleaning it up a little bit to match what we're doing.
yeah.
So
and
that,
yeah, my sister is great with the economy of words and all that kind of stuff. You
Yeah.
know, yeah, the
we
clarity.
did a wholesale revision back in 2018. But now with this neon, we just need to clean it up and get it consistent with what is available to us, what's possible for us, man,
And it
and
sounds
our needs.
It sounds like a huge improvement from a member standpoint. When I joined Wild Ones first, they have that sort of system where your renewal date is when you first joined the organization, and it just automatically it's time for you to renew, and it's much more personal that way too.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions, suggestions, or volunteers? Okay. Next up, this is a Kim one. In case folks don't realize it, she's a professor at MTSU and she's on sabbatical this semester. And she's working on a project that I'm sorry that Dennis isn't here to hear about it because he's expressed a lot of interest in it. I'll let you tell your story, Kim.
So you guys know that we do have this really unique ecosystem, the Cedar Glades. And once upon a time, my major professor, Tom Hammerly, he put together just a short little booklet about glade plants. And then that went out of print. And then I worked with schools for many years, and I still do. And I had money from NSF that I could publish a little bit bigger booklet of, we had maybe 30 different plants in there, glade plants. And that's, I everything I had, I gave away for free. So I printed 5,000 copies of this, booklet, basically take 11 by 14 sheet, 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, folded in half. And that was the size of the booklet. So I have some reassigned time and a little bit of money to go ahead and put together another booklet. And I'm aiming for about 100 plants. And I'll need help. Karen, on behalf of the society, wrote a letter of support for this project, and it was approved. Also, the Natural Heritage Society, I'm saying that wrong. The Department of Environment and Conservation, Roger McCoy, he also wrote a letter of support for the need for this. And there really is, for something that could be distributed through state parks and through schools that are where Cedar Glades are. And my ask is that that you all hear me articulate my delight about getting this reassigned time and to have this partnership. So I'm retiring next year, and I'll have this booklet published, and yet there's no mechanism for, I don't want to give it away. I think when you give things away, people don't care. And yet, I mean, I have no interest in any royalties whatsoever at all. And so my thinking is one, I need some help with the plant descriptions. And then the other thing is if the Native Plant Society would consider being, I would, the books would be published, is then being able to sell them through the Native Plant Society. And how the logistics of that are, I haven't really figured that out. But and the price, it probably would cost about $7 to have something that I'm thinking about published. And any profit that could be made from them would, of course, go back to the Native Plant Society. And working through this, I'll reach out to some of you for your favorite glade plant, so that I'm sure to include those. And I'm excited about this project. This is my second try to try and get the time to do this. And if I don't spend this pot of money that I've got before I retire, it's just going to be absorbed by my department. So I'm excited, and just really more of an announcement and a little bit of an ask.
Okay. Great. So I think we need to support Kim, and if you run out of funds for getting things printed, how many were you thinking of printing?
So I don't, David Duell, so I have I've got wonderful photographers that have agreed to provide their images. So David Duell and Daryl Hess and George Wallace, have all said that they would donate their photographs. So if I don't have to pay for photography, that's a huge financial savings. And right now I probably have just under, maybe, I don't know, $15,000. So hopefully, I'll be able to, get a lot done. But it would be great, if I did need some makeup funds somewhere, if I could come to the Native Plant Society, maybe for a grant or something. But hopefully we don't need to go there. But I'd love to see the profits come back to Native Plant Society.
I know I'm new to the board, but I'll jump in and say I would wholeheartedly supporting your publication.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And I mean, personally, I spend most of my time in Shelby County, and I haven't spent much time on the Cedar Glades. And I would buy that book and be like, I hope I can make it to the Cedar Glades soon.
Well, our conference was there last year. I'm sorry you missed it.
Yeah, me too.
I'm glad you're with us now, though.
Right. Definitely.
Would be so useful. I mean, we have 4 state parks that are
And
specifically for cedar glades, and
it will highlight, and I think this is something that the Tennessee Native Plant Society can do, is highlight the biodiversity that we have in Tennessee, the ecological. We have so many ecological areas that are not found anywhere else, And
it's a unique ecosystem that's found in only a few in Tennessee, in Kentucky, and a few in Alabama.
Yeah, here and there.
And I think there's one I think there's a cedar glade in far southwest Virginia.
Yeah, there are cedar glades, but the geology determines, there's the Dolomites, and we have limestone cedar glades. So, but really more importantly is we have these state natural areas and state parks that are specifically, focused around this unique ecosystem. So that I think it'll be great. I think it'll be useful, just a reader friendly, easy guide, really, basically flower guide, so people can really begin to appreciate these beautiful jewels that we have here right behind me.
Yes. There's a Wildflowers of the Smoky Mountains little booklet that's been around forever. And now if we have the Cedar Glades, we would be highlighting another of our unique ecosystems.
Yeah. I love my
habitat.
My little Smokies booklet.
I think we probably all do. Uh, uh, I'm in full support, as you know well, Kim. So,
Thank you.
and I don't see any naysayers or negative comments whatsoever. I think we're all thrilled that you're doing it. And in any way we can help and support you, we will.
Thank
And
you
if you
so much.
haven't asked for funds at any point, if you need funds at any point for some particular issue, let us know. Okay, but oh yes, we could sell it. No problem. We could sell it. If it costs $7, we'll sell it for $8 and take $1 profit for each one.
Exactly. Yeah, that would be wonderful.
And,
There's
and
no
that'll support.
mechanism. MTSU wouldn't be able to manage it. It would, it would be. There just nothing. There's no way to manage that. So this would be great.
Yeah. Maybe we could do bulk ones for classes or something, find out how many would come in a box and say,
Mhm. Yeah, definitely. School sets and, things like that, teaching sets, for free, just.
yeah. Okay. Any more new business? Oh, first of all, any more comments on Kim's proposal? Okay. Any more new business? Good. I'm going to suggest that our next board meeting be on either May 7th or May 14th. What works for the majority of folks here?
I think either one of those dates would be okay for me.
Okay. Alan, what about you? Are you good for both of those?
Yes, I am.
Mitchell?
Mitchell, you're muted.
I can do the 7th.
Okay. Sue?
I'm expecting a grandbaby in May, so we never know when it's going to come. But it's due the 14th.
Is it? Maybe
Yeah.
we should do this. Excuse me. Maybe the 7th for you then.
Well, I'm sure it doesn't matter because those, babies will come when babies come.
They will. They will. Anne, what works for you?
The 7th is fine. Or the 14th, whichever one ends up working out. Yeah.
Bettina, do you have a preference?
Either. Who knows, but
Yeah.
right now, either one is fine.
Kim, 7th or the 14th?
Yeah, either one.
Okay. Well, why don't we go aim for the 7th then?
Okay.
For our next meeting. And if we run into enough obstacles, we'll move it to the 14th. But for now, let's tentatively say the 7th unless something else comes up. Okay.
All right.
Any other
Okay.
comments, suggestions?
Nope.
Nope.
Good meeting. Good to see everybody.
And it's
It's
good to see everybody. After
Yeah.
being snowed in, it's just
Oh.
wonderful to connect with everyone.
We can get out and walk without slipping and sliding.
You have to
Oh.
swim now.
Yeah, well, that'll be
Yeah.
by the end of the week. Yeah.
Right.
All right. I'm out of here. See you, everybody.
All right.
Thank
Thank
you,
you all for coming.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you for
Bye.
your patience. We covered a lot of territory tonight.
We did.
All right. Good night. Good night, everyone.